as it is the one with the target on its back. We've got Brad Nelson versus Yoshihiko Ikawa coming up next, and some good stuff here. So Yoshihiko has chosen Naya runes as well. Brad Nelson taking a different tack on the format and playing Selesnya Ramp. Just trying to go over the top of the runes deck. Again, you mentioned it, Cedric, but it's really important to note that when the players started developing their deck for this tournament, the deck that they were thinking about was Naya runes. Either do I need to play it or can I beat it? And if Brad sleeved up Selesnya, then he thinks he can beat it.
Well, I hope he's right. We're gonna find out, right? Because it's right in front of him right now. Can you beat runes? Now I know that Brad did a. I'm looking through his Twitter right now. The advantage of being at home. But he said my NEO champs alchemy metagame prediction: 25% runes, 30% decks that think they beat runes but don't, 20% decks that think they beat runes and do, 15% decks that beat the non-runes garbage piles, and then 10% runes. So Brad, are you that 30% that thinks they beat runes but don't? Or are you that 20% that thinks they beat runes and do? We're gonna find out.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, this is game number 2, and Brad's up a game. So our small sample size challenge says Brad was right.
Yeah, so
He's
far
in the 30%. Yeah,
yep.
he did interestingly kind of categorize those decks, and it is funny to get an insight. He's joking a bit, but also not, right? Like, there's an element of truth to this as well. There's a Emerius call number 2 off the top of the library here for Brad. He's got Key to the Archive, Wandering Emperor, Tangled Florahedron in hand as well. So a lot of power here. And unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able he's only going to play one of these cards per turn. But here we go. Key to the Archive sees, whoa, Approach of the Second Sun, Lightning Helix, and DT, Demonic Tutor. He's going to go for the Helix here. And next turn, he'll be able to cast it. He's going to get rid of Tangled Florahedron, figuring, you know what, I've got Wandering Emperor and or Lightning Helix next turn anyway.
Yeah, Key to the Archive has an incredibly powerful spellbook. We're going to see some spellbook related cards during the course of our weekend here, folks. Key to the Archive, probably the most powerful of the bunch, but also Cursebound Witch. So we'll be able to kind of go over those cards a little bit more. But that was a pretty quick Key to the Archive, getting the very powerful Lightning Helix to be able to shore up this battlefield a little bit.
Really tough here. Ikawa plays Skyclave Apparition and takes out the key, which will likely strand Lightning Helix in hand here for Brad Nelson. So nice one there for Ikawa. And it's going to be land go.
Uh-oh, combo time maybe, baby.
Yeah, there's a Wandering Emperor at the ready, so that will be able to happen. But as you mentioned, he has just enough to potentially go off here with the Jukai Naturalist already on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see Runeforge Champion hit and one rune in hand. If it can chain into another one, he could continually go, but he's going to have to get a little lucky here.
And don't forget, you do get to search for one right now, too.
That's true. So 2 runes in hand. That gives him a pretty decent chance. Let's see what happens. Calming of Transient's going to get huge here. Can he find another rune? No, it's a Naturalist this time. But he's got another bite at the apple, as they say, Rune of Sustenance in hand.
Yeah, now where do you want to put this one? And one of the fun things about runes is they can target basically anything. So, is there any reason to put it on your opponent's thing? Do you want to put it on your Runeforge champion? Do you want to put it on your Kami? Where do you want to move this rune to next and try to keep this chain going?
Yeah, particularly this one, right? It doesn't grant any power or toughness boost. So you have to ask yourself, does lifelink matter here, right? Usually the answer is yeah, it might. A lot of the times it doesn't, against control decks or whatever, like you just want to play it safe. But it looks like there, and it's Generous Visitor. Not quite able to keep the chain rolling here, but not too bad of a turn here for Ikawa.
Generous Visitor won't be bad on the following turn, right? You can play Generous Visitor and then play the Naturalist and trigger to put a +1/+1 counter somewhere. I think the interesting thing now is, how do you want to attack? If you want, I assume you're going to be attacking because that's what the rune deck does. But how do you want to attack? And it looks like almost everybody's feeling it.
And this is going to give Brad Nelson his choice of targets for the Wandering Emperor. Kami of Transience is certainly high on the list at 5 power with Trample, but if he feels he can survive going forward, then maybe just getting that Runeforge champion out of there would be better, or perhaps even the Jukai Naturalist to shut off, kind of combo abilities. This is a tough decision here for Nelson because he also has to manage his life total here. I think he's considering going to block with the Florahedron and then play the Wandering Emperor.
Sure. So maybe you block this. You block the Naturalist.
Give it first strike if you'd like. If the Naturalist is what you want to kill anyway, then you can just kill it kind of for free and keep your Tangled Florahedron. You do take the most damage here, though, by doing so. He's down to 4.
Yeah, but you said you do get to keep the Florahedron, which is, it appears part of the plan. And now you also get to exile something.
Right. He can use the Emperor and the Wandering Emperor, and it still has 2 loyalty on it as well. So away goes the Economy of Transients. And now we're going to see Storm the Festival here from Brad.
This turn was nice.
This is a sick turn.
Yeah, this turn was nice by Brad.
So let's see what he wants to grab. He can take AO. As well as something else. He's going to go for the Taxidermist plus AO the Dawn Sky. Wow, what a turnaround here for Nelson.
Yeah, that was a nice turn. Life total is kind of high enough, sitting at 6 life right now. The only real concern is if there's some sort of like crazy trample shenanigans that happen now. But ignoring that, I mean, you got to be feeling really good about this game if you're Brad. You've also got a Miria's Call in your hand. You've got draw steps coming. You can work closer to Storm the Festival. I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty good. And now if you're Ikawa, you're in a rock and a hard place, right?
It does feel that way. He had that one opening to really kind of go off. He was able to do some things, but not chain them together in a particularly impressive fashion. And now, he's down to half of the combo, if you will, right? He doesn't have a Jukai Naturalist on the battlefield right now. And so he's just kind of building up some power and toughness. He has done a good job of getting Brad's life total down to 6. And maybe could sneak something here, but yeah, he's just going to have to pass a turn back. There's Archon of Emeria off the top of the library. That technology aimed squarely at the Naya Runes deck. Has other implications as well, but that's really where you want to be with it.
It feels like there are some certainties in this tournament, right? It sounds like if you're playing white in this tournament in any form or fashion and you're not runes, then you're playing Archon, right? If you're mono white, if you're Mardu, if you're Brad's kind of Selesnya ramp deck, you have found room for Archon because it appears to be the best card against runes. And then you kind of figure out, okay, what are the other things I'm going to do around that card? Because it is impressive when it does show up.
Brad Nelson up a game here in our opener. Are we going to see runes fall in all 3 of our opening matches here?
That would be bad news for runes players. That'd be pretty wild in general.
Especially because we did say that this was going to be like small sample size decider. Like we don't care about waiting for the actual numbers to come in. We're basing it all off of round number 1.
Yeah, whatever happens the rest of the tournament doesn't matter. Just, if Runes goes 0-3, it's the worst deck in the field. Easy.
That's right. We don't have to care about that.
Yep.
That's somebody else's problem.
I like Brad here also getting Archon just kind of set up right now. There's a lot of things he can do on his turn that might be a little more high ceiling, but it's okay. Let me get this set up. I can attack with AO, which is that's pretty nice. Yeah. Start to get that damage going. I know that let's see, the Reclusive Taxidermist, it does add a mana of any color, so that means that Lightning Helix is back online.
Back in business, baby.
Okay.
That Helix is ready to go, and it could be really important here too, right? If Ikawa does find some way to try to sneak in a big hit, Generous Visitor, if you were to draw a rune there for his draw step and then into another one, like all of a sudden you're like, okay, I've got some attacks here. That isn't actually how it played out. He found a land for the turn. But that Helix can, of course, completely change combat math in a huge way. I mean, people have been leaning on that card for years.
Yeah, we're almost at 2 decades now with Lightning Helix. Its debut, of course, in the original Ravnica, dating myself there a little bit. I think that Helix, worse comes to worse, Skyclave Apparition's a great target. You kill the thing that ate your Key to the Archive, you get a 4/4 illusion for your troubles.
It's a
And
big creature to get.
that's a
for
really
sure.
big creature, yeah, as you mentioned. So that might just be the easiest thing to do. And because you are under Archon, you're probably incentivized to just cast your spells when you can cast them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see end step, Helix that, get my 3 life, go up to 9, get my 4/4, and then untap and maybe just hard cast Amirius Call, get my 2/4/4 angels and say, I'm going to kill you in the air.
Interesting choice here for Ikawa, whether to play the naturalist, because it does give him the super combo, but it's shut off because of Archon. So it's kind of one of those. I don't know how much Brad cares about it. Like, it may be too fragile. He may use the Lightning Helix to take out, say, the Jukai Naturalist instead. But if he feels that with Ikawa on no cards in hand that the Archon of Emiri is safe enough, well, then he can just say, I have this card and I don't need to worry about you comboing off on me particularly. Plus, realistically, comboing off in this deck is hard, right? It's not a traditional combo deck where you have inevitability. It lets you have explosive turns, but it's very, very rare that you get to just do all the things, infinitely.
Sure. Brad, I think
So
deciding here
good
between
targets here.
Yeah, Degenerous Visitor is a really good choice. Skyclave Apparition is a good choice. I don't think the head is ideal. I don't think he's racing here.
And the fact that you even thought of that says a lot about you, Cedric.
Really I am.
That he's just gonna dome him with the lightning.
3 now, then you attack for 7, then all of a sudden they're down to 10, then you play Amirius Call, and then the game ends the next turn. All right.
Cedric sees the entire world in terms of combat damage, just from 20 to 0. Like, how many turns?
That's the goal of the game. It's the goal.
Ikawa's literally at 20, and Cedric's still like, well, we could go upstairs with the Lightning Helix.
Well, if we do the math right now, you're going to see 6 + 2 is 8, right? For damage in the air, bring it to 12, and you just added 8 more power to the battbattlefield. So that can just be.
It was another turn. It would make me so happy if he should have just hit him.
I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, I really don't. But
we see Maria's call now from Brad, and another brick off the top here for Ikawa should just about do it.
And it does.
Brad Nelson, wow, what an impressive turnaround, right? Remember early in that game,